Greetings and welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter, and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunthangar Video Hangouts. If you're watching this as a replay, which I hope you are, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunthangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. Now, if you're not a member or if you're not logged into Stunthangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. Now, if you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky. The proprietor of Stunthangar will not approve you. If you're inclined to not come in, just enjoy watching us on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic. You can enter your questions or comments in the chat box here on YouTube, and I'll do my best to make your comments or questions a part of the show. Now, understand, sometimes even I can't get a word in, so be patient, as I will ask our illustrious panel your question or your comment. And by the way, you only can do this during a live stream. So like I said earlier, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you find Stunthangar Video Hangouts that I host, or the many building videos, Saturday at John's, the contest coverage that Sparky does on this platform, informative and enjoyable, please give us a thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Subscribe, and when you subscribe, hit the notification bell and select all so that whether myself or Sparky comes on, you'll be notified. Share the videos, comment on the videos. All these activities help the Stunthangar YouTube channel grow. Please consider joining Stunthangar's YouTube channel memberships, which start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. And by the way, I'm a member, and I have the $4.99 come out of my checking account each and every month, and I don't miss it, and I really think you won't either. Plus, you'll be supporting your hobby, which I hope you are passionate as I am about it. So, and then, if you want, you can also, if you don't want to do the subscription, you can just do the super chats. That's over here on the below the chat box, the big $sign, and you can donate any amount you like and when you want to do it too. So please support us. We need your help. We need your support. And when you do that, your support is just helping Sparky with some of the expenses of running Stunthangar. Okay. Now, when you join the YouTube channel memberships, you get special badges that Sparky and I can see in the YouTube chat box, and unlimited replay of member-only videos. And once a month, Sparky has a Q&A, a question and answer show for members only. So there's a lot of good value. Plus, you're getting, we have people come in our show that have, decades of experience. It's an incredible value when you think about what you're going to get out of this YouTube channel. It's amazing. Especially if you love flying and competing, or even just sport flying, we'll help you in that as well. Now, if you want to get in touch with me, because this is Sparky's YouTube channel, I'm only in here twice a week on Monday and Friday evenings. So if you want to get in touch with me, go to my YouTube channel, which is called Flying Control Line Stunt. Let me repeat that. That's Flying Control Line Stunt. and place your comment or question on the 2019 AMA National Championship video, which Sparky shot with his video camera of me flying his Junar XL. And I will receive a notification and I'll be able to respond to you quickly, because that's my channel and this channel is not. I don't really check the comments. I'm only in here when I'm streaming. So the best way to reach me is through my channel. I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. Please keep the conversation family room friendly. In other words, please don't use words or do things you wouldn't say or do around your own children or grandchildren. And without any further ado, I'm going to post a link now at stunthangar.com. So let me get this going for you. And here we go to Stunthangar. And I'm going to post the link. The link is now posted. Great. So now, if you are able to get into the Stunthangar forum, go there and you'll find the link under at the bench. Now, if the link doesn't appear, like I said earlier, it might be because you're not logged in or you're not registered with Stunthangar. So that's something you can take care of. And let me see here. Now, let me go to what I call the control panel. I hope everybody's had a good week. You know what? That one song, It Never Rains in Southern California, that song lied. It rained today. And I didn't get a chance to go flying today because of the rain. I knew it was going to rain, so it wasn't like I was caught off guard, but surprised, still the same, because it was so hot this week. I mean, we went over 100 degrees where I live several times this week. And so for it to be raining, it was kind of surprised when someone told me it was going to rain Friday. I was like, what? But we need the rain. So I see that Jeff Riley is already in the chat. He says, like, clicked. Thank you very much. And Tom Rammel said, like provided. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Jeff. And let me see, looks like we have 7 concurrent viewers, 5 likes. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do that. Please smash that. It won't cost you a penny, but it helps the analytics of the show. It looks like I have someone coming in, making their way in here. That's great. And let's see here. I got to do a little bit of editing here, and then I will be off to the races. And let's see here. I've been working on my SV11. Hey, John, how you doing, John?
Very well.
Good, good. And hey, Mark, welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, guys.
So how's everybody doing?
Yeah.
Doing good.
Yeah, and doing good. All right.
Yeah, a lot of spread in between there. You know.
Yes, yes.
I'd be a lot happier. I just keep running into problems on my SV11. Like,
oh, I know you're having a difficult time, and I feel for you, man. It's just, you know.
Well, I know what it is. It's right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah. That's the physicality part. You know, you're limited. And Tom, how you been, Tom? It's been a long time since you came in.
Hey,
thanks
Charles.
for coming in.
Yeah.
What does your shirt say? This is
That's how you do it.
How I roll.
Oh, there we go. All right. Yes, very good. So I was watching on my cell phone. I guess Mike Lonke and some guy was flying a pizza box airplane. Do you guys see that?
No.
Yeah, it's on his on Mike Lonke's Facebook channel or group. But I was surprised they were flying because it's raining in Southern California.
Well, that's unusual.
Yeah, I mean, and so I'm like, wow. I heard Wednesday or Tuesday it was going to rain Friday. I couldn't believe it because it's been so hot out here, and been eclipsing 100 degrees. Hey, look who's in the house. Hey, Dennis, I'm surprised. I figured you'd be with Debbie and you wouldn't be able to come in tonight. So I'm happy to see you. Surprise. Oh, you got to turn your mic on, Dennis. You got to lower your boom.
Yeah. No, she's hanging out with our grandson tonight. So Go figure. So
Yeah. Hey, well, hey, I'm glad. I was thinking you was gonna
Yeah.
be unavailable. So, but look who's here. Tom Rammel's here. He hasn't been in a while.
yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
We had rain here all day today too.
Okay. Well, I
And
definitely feel for you, but
it's thick
you're in
Minnesota
Minnesota, so it does. That's
and
not unusual.
61 degrees,
How many degrees? 61.
61.
Oh, that's pretty warm for
Fahrenheit.
you guys, right?
Not for this time of year.
It's
That's a little
bit
chill even for
cooler than
Minnesota.
usual.
Okay. I don't know what the weather's like in Minnesota, but it's been really hot out here, and I was surprised that it rained. So I didn't get any flying in today.
I did go flying this week with my Polaris airplane. Took off and landed on the lake, so got to do that flying. My wife took video of it, so I posted that on my YouTube channel,
Oh, very, very cool.
which is Tom Rammel, Tom with a space Rammel.
Very good.
And
Yeah, check his channel out.
we're our EAA, Experimental Aircraft Association group, the local chapter in Minnesota. I'm part of that chapter, and we're going to do a airplane build, a model airplane build and fly for some kids in the local area. So I'm helping out with that also.
Cool.
Very good. Now you do this every year, right?
Well, I work with some kids in our local school system on a robotics team, but yeah, some years we have built airplanes with some of the school kids, but it hasn't been organized with the EAA group.
So this is the first for your EA. This is the first with your EAA chapter.
Yes.
And what do you have in mind? What are you going to build?
We're going to build a Cadet LT40 electric powered.
Sounds good. Just out of curiosity, and I know Mark is just waiting to ask the same question, but I'll go ahead and ask for him.
Thank you.
Are you guys going to consider doing anything with control line? The EAA usually runs a control line flying thing at the big convention. Usually gets a lot of kids through it and stuff like that. But I guess I'm curious if that would work on a chapter level. Any speculation there?
It probably would work. I have helped with control line flying at that EAA Air Venture in the past, and we used to have 2,000 kids that would fly during that week. And lately it's been, less than 1,000 probably. So I don't know, it's difficult to get. Well, I think people have talked about it in the past. It's hard to keep them involved, and some kids will come and they'll fly, and then that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
I think this project with the local EAA chapters will help because we're local to those people, and so we can encourage them or help them along.
Yeah.
As far as control line at the local chapter, it hasn't been really discussed much, but that is a possibility, I'm sure.
Well, it's a possibility for really, really simple airplanes, and of course you can make them electric also. And I know Mark's talked about Steel Mark's Thunder. He's been training people at the Joe Nall show, using the electric ring rats.
Yes.
Is that what you use, Mark? Yeah.
Yes.
And that's always worked real well for you too, hasn't it? So
It has. It has.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful if you could do that. Thank you, Dennis.
Well, it was a great entree because I got a nice piece of mail yesterday. It was a real nice surprise. A guy named Ed Waskey, who put together the event in West Virginia for the last 2 years, and that event is aimed at getting younger people thinking about aviation careers.
Mhm.
He's been able to raise $18,000 to $20,000 each year to make the event really special.
Oh,
And
that's great.
and this year, just about 1,000 kids came through in 2 days. And
Wow.
this is West Virginia. It isn't Manhattan.
Mhm.
But he's been a great supporter of model aviation, and he has a ring rat that he flies. And today he sent me two newspapers that carried the event, and really some nice write-ups in there. And then there was a thank you card with all airplanes on the front. I've never seen a thank you card like that. And inside he said, people keep asking me how you did it for 2 days. And I don't know myself, but I guess the kids kind of keep me going. But then a check for $500 made payable to Pampa,
wow.
which was really nice.
Yes.
Really, really nice. So I think that's really a good opportunity. The more I think about it, I have on my calendar some visits to local airports that have flight instruction. And I think that'd be a great place to see if I could get them to agree to have people come out and fly control line there on a limited basis to bring people out to their airport.
Mhm.
I think it's a win-win.
Well, yeah, I mean, there could be a thing for people looking for local flying sites, and if they could get
Yep.
involved with their local EAA chapter. I know,
Exactly.
if you read Sport Aviation, they talk a lot about their Young Eagles program, bringing people
Yep.
in, and a lot of the chapters do just what Tom's chapter is planning on. They build RC models or something like that.
Yep.
But again, I think the control line works it works on a lot of different levels. It works on the fact that it doesn't need a big footprint or anything like
Yep.
that. Heck, there's even an opportunity if you can get something going. There's a guy around Illinois used to take his Cub Scout troops in high school gyms in the middle of winter and fly electric trainers in there. And they didn't have to worry about dragging people outside to fly an RC model or anything like that. And that
Exactly.
there's
Exactly. I'm also trying to figure out how to get permissions from schools with gymnasiums
Mhm.
to let small electric control line planes fly in there
Mhm.
and be able to keep people flying during the winter, which I think would be a great thing. So I think it's just kind of limited to our imagination.
Mhm.
But it was so nice of Ed to do that. I was really
Yeah, that was
excited at
great.
first. Yeah, because the check was made payable to me, but the card said it was payable to Pampa. So I had to be honest and I had to turn it over to Pampa.
Okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
Did that?
I may want to ask this question, Charles, later again, but I want to bounce something off you guys and just an honest feedback from you. And it has to do with the Nats. My feeling has been that ever since it's held basically at the same location, I believe it limits those people willing to go to Muncie.
No doubt about it.
If you look at, I have the breakdown, it was one of the things I got from Shad Boudreaux, the executive director, and I found out what states people come from. Okay, and it's absolutely the states basically north and south and east, with the exception state being California, because we got some crazy people out there who make the trip every year.
Mhm.
So I'd like your thoughts on one of the things I found out from AMA is that we have the right, if we want to, without any problem, to hold our stunt events anywhere we want. It is not a requirement to have them in Muncie. So I started thinking, wouldn't it be nice to let other people around the country say they participated in a Nats by having maybe 3 locations, something west, keep Muncie, and something a little further east and maybe south. So my question to you is, what would be your feedback if one day you found out that Pampa has decided to do that? Would it encourage you or discourage you from going to the Nats? And the place I thought of west, and I'm just speaking out loud to you, would be possibly Las Vegas. Easy to get to, a lot of things going on there. And there are a lot of states in the Midwest where we have no members, none. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't control line people out there, but it does mean that if we had an event maybe in Kansas or
Canada.
maybe north of that, the Dakotas, I think we'd be hard pressed. So if we had something, and I'll just throw these out, if we kept Muncie once every 3 years, if we went west, let's say Las Vegas once every 3 years, and then maybe go down to Triple Tree in South Carolina once every 3 years, what would be your feelings about that?
Well,
Come
it's
on
kind of
board.
the way it was supposed to be in the first place when they bought the property.
That's how it started.
That's right. Their
Yeah.
idea was that they would have these regional sites and that we would, because they recognized the problem, people out west, people in certain parts of the country find it very difficult to get to Muncie. And so it's not really a national contest.
Well, don't the Olympics move it around?
Yes, they do. The
So-
World Championships move it around.
Yeah.
You know,
Canada-
I've always wondered that, you know, let's say Dave Fitzgerald wins first place open at the Nats. Does that mean that David is the best open flyer in the country? Or is he the best open flyer that made it to the Nats?
Yeah.
And I think if you spread it out, I think you're going to find people that would fly at the Nats if it wasn't such a crazy trip. And for those maybe on the East Coast, maybe the year it's in Las Vegas, maybe they say it's too far. Well, the next year it's going to come back. So how about you others? How do you feel about that? I'm not saying we're doing that, but I'm bringing it up next Thursday at our board meeting.
I'm new. I'm new to all this stuff, but I'm thinking if I were a person out west who, because it's in my backyard type of stuff, got involved with it, then maybe if I get really excited about it or have some buy-in, then maybe I do come out to Muncie, and make a long, trip of it next go around. I think you get more buzz about it, more excitement about it, build more people buying into it. Because right now, a lot of people out West Coast sit there and probably think, okay, well, it's not in my backyard. I've never been to one. Why should I care about this? So I think it could build a bigger interest, around the country by moving it around. And then, yeah, it's an off year and it's not in their backyard, but maybe they're still paying close attention to it and see what's going on. And I think you build kind of a bigger following.
Just like the Olympics.
Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah.
Good points.
Go ahead, John.
Well, the one and only Nats I ever went to was the Tri-Cities Nats, which happened in '95, which happened to be the last Nats that was not held at Muncie.
Right.
A lot of the complaining I heard from people that weren't there from the East was that it was too far for them to go. In other words, and I understand it, because when it's held in Indiana, it's too far for me. Okay. So yeah, I think the premise back in the older days was to move it around each year. Of course, the Navy ran it for us and it wasn't that expensive. And there were a lot of things going, but nonetheless, you could count on a Nats being at least once every 4 or 5 years in an area that was closer to you. And I think that's a heck of a good idea, because there may be a hidden Dave Fitzgerald out there that hasn't practiced and doesn't want to make the drive or can't make the drive out there. But if it's being held close to him and he gets the bug, as Brendan said, he may get a fire lit underneath him.
Yeah. Well, I understand. Thank you, John. I understand from proper sources that the original intent was to have regional
Yep.
sites so they could do, so the AMA could do just that.
Yeah,
And
I
know
was there
that
and voted on it.
Yeah, and I know that one that was slated for California, I recently learned this, the AMA had spent over $100,000 just going through the administrative processes to get a site, and finally gave up at $130,000. They said, and they just found the idea was great, but implementing it was something very different. So it ended up being basically one site, and that's in Indiana. And I was kind of surprised that one day I just looked at a map, and Muncie is way East Coast. You know, the middle of the country is really Kansas.
Well,
Muncie is probably 1,000 miles from Kansas. So you know, as someone who's responsible for Pampa, I think Pampa has a certain moral obligation, you know, to offer every Pampa member the opportunity to be at an Nats.
Mhm.
And if you're going to have it 2,500 miles away, I'm not sure that's the right thing we should be doing.
I think
Yeah, let me let Dennis go in, and then John, and then Brendan. Go ahead, Dennis.
Oh, okay, and Mark, from a strictly a geographic standpoint, you're right about where the center of the country is. It's closer to Kansas or something like that.
Yeah.
Population center is roughly Dayton, Ohio.
Mhm.
It's not too far from it. So at least, you know, it is like, well, gee, this is an average, but the average, you know, means that you're throwing out lots of people. I like the idea of a regional site, moving it around and things like that. What I also like is I don't think it's going to matter so much to the top competitors. The top competitors are already showing they're willing to go from California to Indiana every year. All right.
Right.
And if they were, you know, it wouldn't be conceptually that much worse to go to Triple Tree and oh my gosh, we only have to go to Las Vegas this year. I mean, come on,
Right.
you know, it's a local contest. And I think where you're really going to see it, we're really going to build it is more of a grassroots level, the advanced and intermediate flyers and stuff like that. Those who would have a hard time justifying a 2-day trip to go fly an intermediate level event, you know, for one day in Indiana. I think those are the people it's going to appeal to. I think that also the volunteers that it takes to run the event. All right. Right
Yes.
now we're basically drawing from the same generic, you know, volunteer pool, if you will. And if we had a chance to move it around, we could probably spread that out a little bit too. So, but and just to be sure, we we can move just the stunt event, or can we move? Do we have to move the entire control line event?
No, we can move it as a SIG, our event.
Okay.
We can move everything that we do in control line stunt.
Okay.
If combat wants to stay there, they can stay there.
Mhm.
Okay. I found out that it's already being done. It's been done several years by RC Pattern. And
They're
they
doing it.
wanted to give,
Okay.
yeah, so they come back like every third year. So that was part of the idea. To me, you know, I happened to speak to Brett Buck about it. And I said, would you come to Triple Tree? He said, yeah. What is it, another 6 hours? What's the difference? I'm on the road so long. Sure,
Yeah.
I'll come. So
Yeah,
I think
and
you're absolutely right.
yeah,
And I think, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I think that the biggest challenge will be, of course, is just going to find nice regional sites. And if it's just for the stunt event, that makes it a lot easier.
Yes, it does.
But and I would also, if we're doing that, I think it would give us a great opportunity to, personally, I'd still like to see us expand and run a couple more events, run profile class, for example.
I would too.
Possibly run the skill classes through other events and, you know, through classic and stuff. They can almost a Brodac kind of event, you know, run regionally. I think that'd be outstanding. But nonetheless, yeah, if we could find different regional sites, if Muncie is, if you will, that would be the default. If we had nobody could do it a certain time, a certain place, that, that would work. But man, if we could go regional, Forsyth's has a nice ring to it. I mean, and then I don't know that we even
Yeah.
come back to maybe the eastern side is something in New York or Pennsylvania or something like that too, and not Muncie. But
Maybe.
Triple Tree, just off the hoof, do you think you'd get much pushback from them if you were going to ask to run an event in the middle of the summer there? Do you think they would allow us?
Well, that's an interesting point, Dennis, because when I thought about Triple Tree would do it in a heartbeat.
Would they,
Okay.
even in July or August or something like
Well,
that?
I'm not sure we would want to be there in July or August. South Carolina is hot and humid those months. But do we have to have our event in July? Could it be September? Could it be, or late August before the kids go back to school?
Yeah.
Okay.
First, well, I don't know, from what Charles is saying, South Carolina sounds like it'd be a real vacation for him. You could cool down there, but compared to what he's been putting up with. But
well, I'll tell you that there's another point that I think is important here about getting people to go to the Nats, and that is, where is the destination? And I'm not knocking Muncie, but Mrs. Weiss will not come with me so she can tour Muncie. Okay. However,
Las Vegas.
All right. However, Las Vegas, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Triple Tree is a half hour from Greenville and a lot of interesting, neat places around there. Plus, one thing I like about Brodak, Triple Tree, it's also a full scale aviation facility. So you get to see some really neat airplanes there. I think if someone were to say, I'm going to go to the Nats, it's a pretty long drive, and the missus or the kids say, where is it? And if you said someplace like Las Vegas, I think you may get a lot more support.
Yes, I mean,
I agree.
because I have
I'm sorry.
One thing I want to say is welcome and thank you, Stuart, for coming in, and Tryon, thank you for coming in, and Brendan. And then Mike Lonke and Jeff Riley and I haven't forgotten about you, John, but Mike Lonke and Jeff Riley have some comments on this topic. And Mike Lonke said, I think separating stunt from the other control line events at the Nats is a bad idea. The Nats are better all the way around when you have every discipline all in one place for the week. And then Jeff Riley, he said, I think moving the Nats is a great idea. I'd go to Vegas anytime. And there's some other comments, but regarding our topic, those are the ones that they responded to. And go ahead, John Miller. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but John.
I need to hear these things.
And then Brendan.
Well, I'm going to be real quick about it. Dennis is so eloquent. He said everything I was going to say, and then more, and even better than I would have said it. So what he said, I agree with it. Go ahead, Brendan.
I guess the thing that comes to mind too is I think of just kind of saturation of having it at the same place over and over and over again, because it's like the circus coming to town every single year. But if it's coming every 4 years or something, then, the circus is in town, it's in my neck of the woods, I better make a run at it. And so I don't know, I just think just the idea that as you bounce it around, I think if it's coming toward your neighborhood, you get more excited about it and have I better get in on this because my next go around will be 3 years from now. So again, it sounds good in theory, just as I toss it around in my head. But again, there's more guys on here that actually have attended the Nats and done that stuff longer than I have to really know the population and what people would say about it.
No, that's a good point. And I think going back to what Mike Lonke talked about, because I've thought about that. Like if you're someone who flies combat and you fly stunt, if you move stunt, then you're going to miss one of those. The downside of trying to move everyone is that then you need a speed cage. And you're not going to find that. Because I talked to Triple Tree about hosting the World Championship, because Dave Fitzgerald said, what a great place it would be to hold the championship, the world. The problem was there's no speed cage and they won't pour concrete at Triple Tree. So I don't know where you could move some of those events.
I do.
Go ahead.
Well, out here in Wood and Arrows, we have a speed cage.
You do.
Yeah. Yeah, Tryon can vouch for that. He's
Yeah.
flown there. Was the speed
I mean,
cage there,
if
Tryon, when
if
he was
com-
out there? I don't know if Tryon remembers the Wood and Arrows, but there's a speed cage there.
Yeah.
They used to have a concrete carrier there.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
well, I think it's a temporary structure they drag out for carrier. But then you talk about all in the West Coast, which kind of, who wants, maybe not everyone wants to come all the way out to Los Angeles, basically, for the Nationals as well.
Yeah. So, and honestly, I can share this with you because it's a concern of mine. I may be the president, I'm just one vote. And I think it's very hard for a lot of people who are used to going there, who have a certain trip, to be agreeable to a change. And some of those people may be board members. They may be competitive board members. So while I think it may be a great idea, that's really not enough. There's an upside. I'm sure there's an upside and downside. I just feel we have a certain responsibility to make the event more accessible to more people. And I'm not sure if I could go to Las Vegas every third year, but I would do my best.
Mhm.
I really would. As head of Pampa, as long as I'm going to do that, I'd have to. So I just wanted to bounce it off you. The feedback has been really good. There's no perfect answer, and it's going to upset some people if it does happen. But it's also going to gain a lot of people who've never been to one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but think about it like if it's reoccurring in the same place over and over again. I often hear people saying things like, "Oh, the gas prices are too high this year," or "Oh, I don't quite have the money this year." So like they find reasons to bow out, legitimate reasons to bow out, but that's because they know, well, next year it's going to be at Muncie, and I'll be able to do it again next year. Again, this becomes one of those things where, oh, well, yeah, gas prices are high this year, but it won't be in my neck of the woods next year or the year after that. So maybe I better make a push at it this time. So I don't know. I think that the population that you have already coming, there's some people that kind of get, well, I'll just do that next year because now it won't work. I think you're going to have more energy from those folks say, well, I better get out there if they know it's not going to be in their neck of the woods.
I agree with you. And I wouldn't even bring it up if it was going to foster any hard feelings with AMA.
Right. Let me let Stuart in because Stuart's been waiting patiently.
I think Brandon's right in a way where you should move it around. And partly is, I couldn't afford to go to California. I'd be lucky. I'm 6 hours away. I'm in Canada, I'm in Ontario to get to Muncie. But I think the idea is, like I said, the Olympics, it's kind of like that. You move it around, you give other people the opportunity. And I think that's really important because people with their jobs, like I'm retired in a sense, medically retired, but a lot of people can't go that far. They can't work it out in their schedules. And I think it gives them the opportunity to actually get into it. So I think it's a great idea to move it around. The other thing is, how many places do you actually have the facilities to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, one circle is not going to cut it, right?
No.
So
I'll give you another place that's willing to do it is Oshkosh.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. They've already said 4 circles on concrete is a piece of cake.
Okay. Sure.
So there are places, and again, I'm not. If the AMA said, "Look, Mark, you can't do this. It's really going to cause bad blood," I would have dropped the whole thing. But they told me you absolutely can do it. It's already started. We understand the upside of that would be to grab people that you're not grabbing here.
I think you need to, you really need to give the other people the opportunity that don't live in the area.
I
That's
think,
to me, that's a huge thing. I mean, so.
yeah, I agree. Listen, I didn't mean to dominate this. I'll keep my mouth shut, but your feedback was just really important. I got this meeting coming up Thursday. And I've put it out. Next year is the 50th anniversary of Pampa. It's the 100th anniversary of AMA. And one opportunity that we have, if we do move it every couple of years, is that we have total control.
Wow.
Which is something that's really important.
I want to give you my feedback. I went to the Nats in 2019, and it was kind of like on my bucket list. I mean, that's how lofty of an ambition and goal to go to the Nats. It's like, this is on my bucket list. I did it. I don't think I'll be able to do it again. I mean, unless some financial windfall or some events change or what have you. But I'd like to get back. I'd like to be able to get back, build my own plane and take it there and have a chance to compete, on the big stage. But to me, it's like, it's kind of a wish and a hope and a dream to get back to the Nats because of the distance.
Yeah. Thanks, Charles.
You're welcome.
Mark, do you think it would be, I don't know, I'm a big fan of striking when the iron's hot. You have a great reputation with the Triple Tree folks right now and everything like that. I mean, can we think of a reason why we couldn't even start planning on doing that for next year? I mean, just.
No, we've talked about it. I've talked to Pat Hartness, who's the founder.
Mm-hmm.
It would be an incredible place. We would do it when there's no one else there.
Mm-hmm.
And we would use the main line, which has unlimited perfect circles of golf green grass. And it was Dave Fitzgerald, the first one, who said we should at least have the team trials here. But he said, I think we should have the World Championships here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty special place. And I know we could get on their calendar. I know we can. They're very accommodating. They'll make you feel like you're special when you come in there. And that's one thing I think the national championship should feel like.
Oh, it should be. Charles really just said it,
Yeah.
It's and for a lot of people, regional flyers and stuff like that, that's virtually a bucket list event, and it shouldn't be that far out of reach. So
no, it shouldn't. And I think if we do that, I think we should think about making N30 and Classic official events.
Yeah, it's we can't put them in a rule book or anything that makes it a truly official event. It has to be in a rule book. And
well,
we can't do that for 2 years minimum, but we can certainly have.
It would bring more people.
Well, it would bring more people. And of all things, one thing I failed at a few years ago is I couldn't get the board to agree for the Pampa board to define a profile. All right. And
What is a woman?
The definition I had in mind for profile would have been, basically the Pacific Northwest rule, which is really, really wide open when you come right down to it.
Yeah.
And, but that would be something. But I think the profile event is, regional, locally is probably going to be the biggest single event. That's the one. If you go a regional nationals, that's where the entries are going to come.
Absolutely.
Because everybody will show for that. If
you're trying to build control line and keep it alive and well, you can't be restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
I had this conversation one day, and it really kind of surprised me with Bob Hunt. Bob and I are very good friends, and I visit him very frequently. And I asked him one day, I said, how do you feel about builder with the model rule? This is Bob Hunt. He said, I hate it. I said, you're kidding me. He said, no, it's keeping people away. People don't have the room, the skill, or the time to do what some of us can do. Those people, you'll never see them in a contest. You'll never see them at the nationals.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's a major, a basic part of of Pampa. And I'm not suggesting we infiltrate, builder of the model, especially at the highest levels. But I think with changing times, we have to change.
Interesting.
Well, I think we have to make it more, go to the Brodak fly-in, and you got people in there flying a, 10-year-old Vector ARF that, they haven't even been able to clean up since the last Brodak fly-in. They get to fly, they're living 60-hour work weeks, raising their families, and they're active in their PTAs and everything like that. And the idea of taking an entire summer to be a pro stunt flyer and everything like that, say competed in national, that's just not on their card. But they can show up with something like the Brodak fly-in, and we all have a really good time there. They can hang out with, with other like-minded people. They can have a lot of fun with a lot of things going on and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Why
Absolutely.
can't the nationals be that kind of event too, where people come? Yeah, we're going to see these pro guys over here, but in the meantime, I'm going to have fun too. I'm going to go, and I'm not going to fly just one flight and turn around and go home. I'm going to be flying for a couple or 2 or 3 or 6 days. And gee, there's somebody's flying a Dynajet over there, and somebody's flying a biplane over there, and stuff like that. That's the kind of thing that I think would be more attractive to more people.
Absolutely. I'm also going to suggest that those who are on these forums on Mondays and Fridays get extra points.
Sign me up.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, listen, thank you guys.
Here,
Oh, you're welcome.
on
Let
the
me,
East Coast here, we have a bunch of people that are actually making contests with no appearance points.
Mhm.
And a lot of people show up and nobody cares about them, right?
Yep.
And so to me, the boom rule means I think it's just, you're right about it, Mark. And when you also said that people that you asked for that list of how many people actually put their primary interest as being control line to Pampa, and you said there are so many thousands of them, that kind of blew my mind
the
away.
AMA, yeah, Tran, the AMA, I asked for this data. The AMA told me that of the 110,000 roughly current paid members, 8,400 checked off on their applications control line as their major interest.
Yeah. So
Okay,
so pending
they're still
no
out
boom
there.
rule, how many of them would be interested to at least show up to local contests or something like that?
It's a good
Or even
question.
Nats.
Yep.
Good
So
point.
there's still people out there that are flying in backyards or wherever they're doing it. And with hobby shops disappearing, they're probably on their own.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Let me welcome Gordon Delaney and Gary. Thank you for not giving up and getting in here. And I do have another comment before we actually leave the subject, Mark. Al Fierro says, I think you might lose Muncie if you don't keep it active.
Well, that's not what AMA told me. And again, I know I've said this 2 or 3 times. First of all, I'm just a vote on the council. That's all I am. But the executive director told me it's already being done. It is fine with them that flying at Muncie is not a requirement to hold the Nats. Okay, so when they said that, I said, I'd like to, what would you think about moving it so we get other people? And they said they understand, they'd be all for it. And I said, but I'd want to come back here. And they said, that's fine. So please understand, who's ever listening, I'm not going to divide Pampa or control line from AMA. I've spent a godly amount of hours making sure we have a great relationship with AMA. And being great means we have some things we'd like to do. And if they're willing to back us to do that, I think we should take advantage. If they said, you can't do that, this would never come up. So.
Well, thank you, Mark. And Al Fierro might have just came in late, you know. So let me catch up on the chat box. There were some other comments regarding other stuff. Let me see here. Jeff Riley, he was just commenting earlier about how the heat was so hot out here in California. You couldn't even open the shop door. And then Mike Lonke said that we're in Detroit for a combat meet. Weather is great. Lots of practice flights today, and even saw Steve Hines. And
Oh, great.
Carnage will ensue Saturday and Sunday. Pretty tired, just going to watch. Then Jeff Riley said, "Good luck, Mike and Sam." And Mike Lonke, he says the airplane you saw was made from a folded up Little Caesars cardboard pizza box built by Ed Breeze. Yeah, I watched the video, Mike Lonke. It's on his Facebook group, and I caught that. And I was amazed at the weather, because out here in California, we couldn't even fly because of the rain. Then Jeff Riley went on to say, I think, I read that already, pardon me. Then this other person, he said, his name is Eves 100 or Ives 100. He says, so good RC planes. I'm not sure what he's referring to. It might have been some comment, or maybe the EAA maybe is what he was talking about. And then Gary Sinclair said, trying to get in. And Gary, thanks for your persistence, and you're in. And I'm all caught up now in the chat box. And Howard Rush is making his way in here. Hey, Howard, thanks for coming in. And looks like Philip Bailey is making his way in here. So when he comes in, I want to greet him as well. And
hey, I wanted to bring up a couple things. I was going to keep it short tonight, me being here, but one thing is, I think Angstrom's interested in maybe doing some clown racing, and so I'm in the market for a Brodak 15 or an OS LA 15. So if people got any leads on that, those are the engines I have to use, at least for the Brodak rules, to do clown racing. So
Okay.
In the market,
I hope we can help you.
Yeah, in the market for that, to throw our head into that. We saw the clown racing, and a lot of the kids, the Alamov kids, Sam got involved in it last year, so Angstrom saw it, and I think we're going to throw our head into that. But the other thing I was going to bring up and mention, if you remember a while ago, Angstrom brought up flying in calm wind, and we were having some issues. I think we may have figured it out. We have a P40 that has an adjustable rudder on it. And I think when it was gifted to us, some of our first flights, we were like, hey, let's turn this whole thing out as far as it goes to, that nose stays out. And yeah, after reading on Stunthangar a little bit and kind of, looking at things, we found out this week that, you don't really need much rudder, tilt, if any. Yeah, I see the claps from Dennis there. And it was fun. It was a learning moment with Angstrom. Like, we were about to give up on the plane, and we're like, nah, let's adjust this a couple times. Then we straightened the thing up, and it's like, wow, everything's fixed on this. So we did the same thing to his Pathfinder, who had a built-in offset, and we heated up the glue on the rudder and straightened that thing out. And when that's flying better too. So I don't know. We just learned a valuable lesson this week of just
that's great.
Rudders can do.
Yeah, I just added myself some rudder on my plane, just a very little, maybe 3 degrees or so. So that's about it.
Yeah,
I just put some. I'll set my rudder on my SV11 as well. And I made it adjustable so I can vary it. And I tried a little bit, then I tried a little bit more, and it's good. So I guess you don't always need it, but sometimes you might. It's good to have that option.
Yeah.
And regarding the clown racing, Brendan, Al Fierro says use an LA 15.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one that I figured I'd be hunting for, and I kind of have a lead on one, but I don't know. I'm just kind of seeing what might be out there. I do know that Brodak's essentially in my backyard. I know that the planes. I think they sell the ribs laser cut at the hobby shop. And I know Mike Alamov's got some plans, and I'm going to the Cleveland event next week. So if anybody's in the area, feel free to go to the Cleveland event next week. We'll be there. A lot of events to that. But I should be able to get the plans from Mike Alamov, and then at least 5 laser cut ribs to get me started to building the plane.
Very good. And let me welcome Philip Bailey. Thank you, Phil, for coming in. I appreciate it.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, how are you?
Good,
How's everybody doing?
Good.
good.
I'm
See,
about
Trey's in tonight. Mark's in the house, so it should be a good show.
I'm
I
out,
got a
fellas.
question.
All right, Brendan. Thanks for coming
Oh,
in.
shoot. Have a good one, Brendan.
I'm out too. I have to go to work tomorrow morning. So
Hey,
guys,
thank
good
you,
night.
Tryon. I know you have to go
Oh,
be at
on
work
Saturday.
early in
See
the
you,
morning.
Tryon.
Thank you very much, Tryon.
See you guys.
Trayan, you're going to be
Thanks,
there next
Tryon.
week, aren't you? Trayan,
Yes.
you're going to be at the contest.
Yes.
Good. Okay. I'll call you later in the week, but I'm planning on being there, driving down Thursday after practice here and be there Friday for practice. So I hope to see you next week. Take care
Perfect. Get some line clips with you, like the one that connect to the plane.
now. I've got a few left, but not many.
I got a question I'd like to ask. I'm looking for a new canopy for my SV11. One of the setbacks I had this week was I accidentally cut mine in half.
Oh my God. Oh man.
What happened?
Well, I was trying to take it off. I was using an X-Acto knife, and I slipped and cut it halfway in half. So
Cut what in half?
my canopy.
Ooh. Oh,
So
Along with my
that
finger.
Just
some
on the
pop
SV11?
canopy.
on the
Pardon?
SV11?
Yes,
Yeah,
Phil.
SV11. What'd you say,
I think-
Trey?
Just make it out of a soda bottle.
Well, I checked that out, and the soda bottle isn't quite long enough.
Bigger soda bottle.
You can get one from Brodak. Brodak sells them.
They used to have 3-liter soda bottles. That'd be nice.
Okay.
You know, I checked about a year or so ago. And I couldn't get a canopy at Brodak's.
Well, I know
Oh, shucks.
Mike Bodke, Sam crashed his SV11, and I'm wondering if the canopy survived.
No, I asked when he mentioned it. I asked. He said no. That was it.
Oh,
Randy Smith would have them.
That that's a good idea.
Randy Smith will have them. The last time I talked to Randy, he had the canopies. And for any of you that don't know, just for future reference, when you go to take a canopy off any of the airplanes that's put together, like they're on the SV and the Vector and whatever, any of the RF airplanes, it's put on there with hot glue or something very similar. It works like hot glue. Take some masonry twine and just get it under one of the edges and start working it back and forth, and you'll pop it right off. I took mine off and was able to clean it up and put it back on I put mine back on with silicone because I'm not fast enough with hot glue. But you can put it right back on there. After I took all the black and painted it silver or gray, and then put a pilot in it and put an instrument cluster on it and put some doodads in it, a canopy opening bar like it really works, and a few other little things, and put it back together. But anytime you want to pop one of those canopies off, just a little bit of masonry twine to get it under one corner and just start working it back and forth, and you'll cut right through that stuff.
well,
And you won't get cut.
You told me that, but I didn't have any masonry twine at the point I was ready to take the canopy off.
Try Spectre. Spectre.
Do what? Spectral line probably will work. I
Yeah.
don't
Well,
know.
anyway, it's too late. The canopy's ruined, so I got to get another one.
Yeah, Randy Smith will have them. He's got Vector canopies. I mean, SV canopies.
All right.
I'll look and see if I have one. I have an SV kit downstairs. I mean, a kit. And I'll look and see if I have a canopy in that. I don't know if I bought a canopy for it or not because I was going to just pull one. But if I do, I'll call you and get your address. I'll let you know something. Let you know
Go
something.
ahead,
Thanks,
Stuart.
what-
Let
what
Stuart
do
say
you-
something. Hang on, John. Stuart, what?
When you're done with this conversation, I got something else I want to bring up.
Okay.
What if you send me that canopy? What you gonna do when you build that kit?
I'll pull one.
Oh, okay.
Ain't that hard.
Well, I
I'll
know.
find-
I've never.
And the soda bottle is one way of doing it, but there's other ways. I have the plastic too.
Well, what are you
I
gonna
would-
do? What are you gonna do to make the mold for it?
Just carve one out of balsa. All I do is take
Okay.
a profile. Take a profile and get the profile that you want on a piece of wood.
Oh, I know how to
Then-
do it. I just,
Then lay that on its side and get the size you want this way and draw them out, and then just fill it in with balsa wood and sand it down. Make the basic framework out of plywood, fill it in with soft balsa, sand it all down, then fiberglass it, sand it down, get it good and smooth. Take a soda bottle and, well, I take that and mount it on a frame or
yeah.
I call it a frame, whatever.
I think
Something.
Howard's got a lot of canopies.
Who?
Howard.
Yeah,
And
Oh,
Howard,
you met them?
actually,
Okay.
Howard has a comment or question himself.
Oh,
Go ahead
Go
and
for it,
finish,
Howard.
Phil. All right.
He
you
might
done?
have one. But
Hi.
pulling a canopy is no problem.
Go ahead, Howard, and welcome to the show. Thank you very much.
Good to see you, Howard.
I have a bunch here from the Granderson estate, and if you can identify it, I'll is what you want. I'll send it to you.
Oh, I thank you, Howard.
How do we go about doing that?
Yeah.
Show them all to you.
Well, like all of Randy's designs, the canopy's on backwards, so the pointy end is forward.
Yeah. If I send it to you, you got to put it on forwards. Okay.
You just got to fly the plane backward.
Oh,
do the-
Lord.
Does that look right?
No,
That's not it.
All right. Here's a little one.
too small.
That's not
Too
it either.
Okay, so this one would be too small too. It's a little different. You got a whole. Here's a bubble thing.
How long is that bubble?
How long is the bubble? Well, I don't know.
And how wide, I guess. is
Good
the-
golly, look at all those carbon manifolds.
Oh
And
yeah.
props.
There's that's the Granderson estate. We got a bunch of stuff here.
Wow.
He's got.
Carbon propellers.
Wow.
Look at all those props.
Ooh. Wow.
Okay, let's see.
And manifolds, my word.
Headgum phone in one hand. This canopy is 11.5 inches long and 2 3/4 inches wide.
That might work.
That might work.
That might work. Yeah.
Okay, let me see what else I got here. That's a little one. Here's one labeled Cougar with a K.
That's probably the RC pattern ship, Cougar.
Okay, Cougar with a K. Now, oh, here's more. This one's. How's that?
That's pretty close.
That looks pretty close to it. Yeah.
How what's the distance from the point, the rear point to just ahead of where the top starts to make the dive down?
Top starts to make the. Huh?
Well, if you're looking at the side view, at the profile, if you follow the line, you see right there, just ahead of your fingers, where the canopy curves, goes down, and then it's flat for the windscreen.
John, I would bet that'll work. The back side of it's a little flat, but you're not going to use that part anyway.
Right. That looks like it would. That looks like it could work.
I lost my tape measure. Here it is. Here's tape measure. Okay, you have me to measure?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to measure. I'll put this down. Oh, for God's sake.
No, Howard, let me go grab I have a canopy in my garage. I'll grab them real quick so you can see what I'm looking at.
Okay, 10 3/4 inches from the back of the canopy to the front of the flat spot.
Okay.
From
That's
that
the right shape, but I think it's too short.
Too short. All right. Some of my best friends are too short. No, I
I
mean,
know. Been there, done that.
oh, here's this one. That's if the other one's too short, this one's too short. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
There's one that's partially.
That's a beautiful canopy.
Looks like it's cut like it might work.
I
Oh, look, there's some other stuff in here. What's this? A hydrometer.
Oh my word.
No, it's a thermometer. It goes up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, it's got a guy with a chef hat on the bottom. So I guess candy deep fry thermometer.
Yeah.
That's probably involved with the canopy creating.
yeah.
All right. So which one did you want? I forgot.
Probably the first one.
The first one.
I think it's a little longer. Yeah,
This-
it's the basic SIG. Yeah.
I sent some SIG canopies to a guy in France a while back, and he met me at the World Champs and gave me a big bottle of wine
Whoa,
made by his son-in-law.
cool.
Yeah. Okay. This thing with it's just a bubble. It's got no
Right.
frostbite. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that probably be the closest we could get to it.
Send me your postal address.
Yeah, I'll put it PM. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Howard.
You're welcome.
Side to rear exhaust headers.
And it'd be interesting to see when Charles gets back, we'll be able to measure the one he's got. Mine's all cut up and thrown away and stomped on. And
Get down like vicious, don't you? Santa Claus has a temper, my word.
All righty, I'm back, you guys.
okay, how long is that canopy from? Show it to Howard so
Sure.
you can see what it looks like.
Oh, real place spotlight. Okay,
All I can see is myself.
so that's what it looks like, Howard.
I can only see. Oh, here we go. Oh, back up a little bit. So
Let me get a ruler here. I have a ruler somewhere. I'll give you some measurements. So let's see. Where's my ruler?
I don't know. They're hard to find. I lost.
Hang
Have
on.
an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper?
Yeah, I do have that, but I have a ruler here too. Okay, here's a ruler. So from the front tip to the rear, let me go in inches or close to inches. So it looks like it's about 9 inches long.
9 inches. Okay.
And that one, that SIG one you got there will work.
Yeah, so it's really closer to like yeah, closer to maybe 9.25 inches long.
How wide is it across the base?
Well, the fuselage sides are 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, it's gonna be working better than what I got.
So you can see why it'd be 2.5. It's about
Yeah.
distance there. All right.
Well, thanks for getting that,
Oh,
Charles.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
And
Glad to
thanks
help.
again, Howard.
Okay. You're
Hey,
welcome.
Joe Gilbert's in the house. Thank you, Joe, for coming in.
Yes.
So, anyways, you know what? I wanted to share something with you guys.
Wait, did Stewart want to talk, Charles?
Oh, well, if Charles wants to say something, go ahead.
Okay, so anyways, I mean to share this with you guys. It's a totally different subject. You guys ever heard of a arrow brooch? It's let me make myself big.
You are big, Charles.
It's to make hinge slots.
He's not big. I've seen him.
So it's a
Oh, yeah. I have
Whoa.
those.
arrow brooch.
I've been using them for years.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Where the heck
Oh.
do you get it? I've never seen one of those before.
Here's the website is arrowbrooch.com, and they come in 3 different sizes.
Arrowbrooch.com.
So you get a package with 3 of these blades, 3 different sizes, 3 different thicknesses.
Very nice.
And yeah, since you've been using them for years, why
Yep.
don't you tell us what you think of it, Mark?
I really like them. I found them at a very big flea market up in Lebanon, PA, and they had a booth there, and they were showing it. And I like to try things with my hands, and you just need an X-Acto. I use it with one of those red fluted handles.
Kind of like this.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, so that's what I did.
And, I really like it because I can match it to the size of the hinges that I'm using. So it gives you a nice tight fit. So I like them a lot.
Good. Yeah, so I just use this CA one on my, I just put some CA hinges on my adjustable rudder. And so I use the thin one and it works good. You just, like a brooch where you just go in and then you just can saw back and forth and make your hole. And these things are pretty sharp. I mean, these points are, it'd be no problem going through balsa wood or maybe even some harder wood.
Yeah, they're very nice.
Good. Well, go ahead, Stuart. What did you want to say, Stuart?
I wanted to ask about hunting. You guys talk about hunting, and that means, from what I understand, the plane's going up and down like this.
Right.
Like, has anybody got a plane like that? They can't figure out why that's hunting.
Not anymore. I've had it in the past, but yeah.
Okay. I kind of wondered if this is the problem because I ran into this. A plane was given to me and I couldn't figure out what was going wrong. And what happened was I crashed it. Okay. Broke it into 3 pieces. And what I found was I just noticed that on the ailerons, that the holes on the aileron, or sorry, on the horn, were not lined up perfectly with the where the pins would be on the hinges. They were back. So what I did was I thought I ended up pulling the horn off because it had broken the crash, and I filled them up, put pegwood in, epoxied them in, cleaned them up, and then I moved it forward. So basically now I have the holes right above exactly above where the pins would be on the hinges. And I'm wondering if people say they have a plane that's hunting, is if that isn't in the exact right position. Because when I did this and when I flew it today, it was like huge difference.
Huh.
Because when you don't have those holes right lined up with the front of the aileron and the trailing edge of the wing, if they're not right in the exact position, if you're out a millimeter here, at the end of the aileron, you're going to be out like 3 millimeters. I'm just saying approximately.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that it made a huge difference. And people that have planes that are hunting, if they have to relook at that and make sure that that's in the exact position it should be.
You probably friction out of the controls when you rebuild it. That's
Sorry, what's that?
What fixed is probably taking friction out of the controls.
The friction.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, if you, for example, if you got your wing and your aileron, if the holes are supposed to be right dead in the center, if you move it back, what happens is you trim it for level when in level flight. When you go inverted, it's not going to be right.
This is the hole where the push rod goes?
No,
That the whole-
yeah, sorry, in the horn. I'm talking in the horn. You know the holes in your horn where your aileron and trailing edge meet, where the pin is in your hinge, right? So if your
Oh,
pin in your hinge and that hole for your horn should be in the middle, right?
Oh, the axle for the horn. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so if you move that back from here to here, and if it's a millimeter, the difference between here and that millimeter from here to the end of the aileron is going to be like this.
Yeah. Yeah. You could get some friction from that.
When you go in it may be when you're going you're flying along, you trim for that, but when you go inverted, it's going to really show. So unless you have that perfect, you're going to be chasing I call chasing the tail. You're never going to get it right. So am I out to lunch here, or I don't know.
Not if I understand what you're saying, that would cause it to do perverted things. Yeah. Not having the hinge axle aligned with the control horn axle.
Yeah, like the holes in the horn, right? So
Could get a binding, which would.
Well,
People-
the holes in the horn where you attach the push rod, that doesn't matter for this problem. But the axle of the control horn should be aligned with the axis of the hinges.
Well, okay, I guess what I'm saying is the actual pin in the hinges the hole should be exactly right in the middle. If it's back here, because the horn's back, you're going to throw out your aileron, correct?
You're not talking about the holes that you attach the push rod to, are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
You've got
no,
your holes in your horn going. There's like 4 of them usually, right?
no, that doesn't matter. For
Do you
this,
have a horn handy by chance, Stuart, or anybody? I can go in my garage and grab a horn, but
Well, what I'm talking about, in the horn, you have usually 4 holes, right?
yeah.
So if the pin is here in the hinge, if your hole's here, okay, it's supposed to be there. But if it's back here, if it's back a millimeter or 2 millimeters, it's going to throw your horn way out.
So what you're saying,
Your
Stuart,
aileron.
what you're saying, Stuart, is the axle, the line where your flap horn is here, and the line where your axle for your hinges is out here. And if you got it, it should be they should be lined up together.
Exactly.
But you saw that they were behind in your case. And so what it was doing was it was putting a bind in there. It was causing you a problem, and straightening it out did help and would help.
Well, yeah, and and I've heard people talk about hunting, and I'm wondering if when
we
you
got
go
an
to
example
throw-
here. Let me have Stuart. Hang on. So let me have Dennis show us what we're talking about here.
We're talking about 2 different things.
I think so too. We can't hear you, Dennis. You got to lower your boom, or maybe you raise it, or nope, don't hear you.
You muted?
No, he's not muted. I don't know what's going on.
You unplugged?
Dennis, the light on your microphone lit red. I don't know why. It's usually blue if it shows up at all.
You'll be right back. Okay, so.
Well, I think what Stuart's talking about is if the holes are not at the hinge line, then there's going to be a differential throw. So you get more throw one direction versus the
Right.
other. But that's
Yeah.
not necessarily going to cause hunting.
And here comes Joe Gilbert. He's actually drew
I got-
something.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
The flap This is the horn, this is the wing. To me, this needs to be lined up where the rod going to the bell crank is 90 degrees.
Exactly.
And then you ought to
That's what
crank
they
angle
think,
toward
but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
No bullshit.
I know where you're going on it, but you
Well,
solved it one way and this is
No.
another
Okay.
way.
You can
Let's-
solve it either way.
You're right.
Okay. Here's my theory. Do whatever you want. If you want that forward or back or straight up, whatever you want. If it's hunting, that's using aerodynamical between the flap and the elevator.
On the elevators, yes.
They're different. So if it's hunting upside down, the flaps are probably down. Whenever the flaps are toward the sky, the airplane will hunt that way, and the insides will be just as groovy and easy to fly, but the outsides will slide in the turn and they'll hunt. The hunting comes from aerodynamics more than that push rod right there.
That
In my opinion.
yeah, that's a good description. And you gave that description about a week ago, and I thought it was pretty cool. That's one cause of hunting, but a more common one is just friction control.
Yes, the friction will be both ways, Howard. If it's friction, it'll hunt both right side up and upside down.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
And also the need for down thrust could be another
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
reason.
No worries.
You know, that
And,
makes me
are
so
you ready
happy.
now, Dennis? I know you had to get up and
I don't know. Am I,
Yeah,
can you hear
Yeah,
me now?
we hear you.
kind of like my cell
Okay.
phone, right, Dennis?
Yeah, okay. I think where Howard was coming from and where I was coming from too is it is a matter of friction in the sense that you have a center of pivot for your hinges and you have a center of pivot for your control horn. And especially if you brace the control horn, right? It's on a bearing, it's held in a certain position. If that's not on the same center as the hinge, you're going to get a bind in your control system, okay?
Yep.
Now, what Stuart described was, I think, let's see, imagine that the edge of the control surface is the center of the pivot point. Well, if the control horn is in this far and it's pivoting this far, then the misalignment in those two causes a bind in the control system. And of course, I think he said it was buried too deep, and I can actually kind of get there with this. So it can move smoothly by itself. The flap can move smoothly by itself, but when you put them together, they're not on the same center. So they're going to bind, okay?
Yep.
Now, if in addition to that, and I think where Howard was going with it, I think that's where he was going with it, whether the horn is like this or like this or like this, probably isn't going to have any effect whatsoever on whether the airplane hunts or not. But if the horn is like that, and you start trying to go insides and outsides and stuff like that, the amount of deflection you get for up input versus a down input is going to be different. And you're going to have an airplane that doesn't turn the same way. All right. But but if everything is working smoothly and stuff, that won't directly feed back in as a hunting problem.
Maybe I got hunting mixed up because I don't understand the total. Because
Well,
I'm new.
hunting would just be the classic definition is that you try to fly level and it's going like, up and down, right? You can't hold it there.
Okay.
And
So-
the single most common cause is some kind of friction someplace in the control system. I had some airplanes that were hunting. I finally traced it down. I had braces on the wire push rod to keep it from flexing, and they were too close to the push rod, and they were actually holding the push rod in a position where it had to scoot to get past. And so any small input became a big input. I was recently talking to somebody who had his lines locked up on him in flight. All right.
Yes.
And it was a question of you hadn't cleaned his lines off, and his lines were rubbing against each other real hard. And any little small input, the airplane takes off on its own. There's no such thing as just holding it level. So I agree with, I think Howard mentioned that when you rebuilt everything, you built it better than it was. Everything's in line right now. So if there was a bind because of a misalignment between the horn and the hinges, it sounds like you got it fixed. And I'm going to bet that you probably had to fix a few other things in the process of doing that. You may have just improved your control system up and down the line and taken out any resistance in the system that could make the airplane go bad.
Maybe, I guess what I'm saying is the pins here and the holes were here.
Mhm.
I pulled the horn off and I re-drilled them so they were here.
Mhm.
So they were right up and down.
Right.
But they were back here.
Yep.
The plane would never fly right.
Well, it might not fly right, but that wouldn't have shown up in hunting. It would have shown up in a unequal control up and down.
Then maybe that's it, because I don't understand hunting, but now I'm kind of understanding what you're saying because I'm new to this. So it's like I'm learning. This is a big, huge learning curve. So I'm understanding what you're saying with friction now. So that's good to know because I didn't understand that. So now I do.
Control horn should be aligned with the hinge. If you put the control horn back here, it will work in a control horn in the sense that as you move the control, it'll go up or down, but the pivot, the effective pivot will be as you were trying to describe. It's going to be different moving one way than the other way. And then you get really, really wonky control inputs,
because I think what happened was it was out. So what would happen is the pin's here and it was here. So I was adjusting it. So on level flight, it was okay. But when I went inverted, it didn't work right.
Well, you were giving it different, up control, down control from inside and outside. So yeah, it wouldn't work the same. It wouldn't feel inverted. The airplane would fly totally different.
Okay, yeah,
than what you expected, at least.
I couldn't figure out what was going on, but when I crashed this plane, then I realized when I broke the horn off, part of the horn was broken. I realized that it wasn't in the position it should be in.
Well, it may have been a really fortuitous circumstance if you broke a bad control horn, So
it was good because now it flies huge difference. Like I couldn't believe it.
I still don't recommend crashing it again to fix what's left. But, that doesn't show up in anybody's trim program, but thankfully sometimes you can get lucky and you can rebuild better than it was. So
it's good.
Stuart,
I mean, like
Stuart,
Gordon
Stuart, if you need any control horns, just call Howard.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gordon.
Well, I make my own control horns, and on the flap horn, the hole for the bell crank to the flap is 9 degrees tilted forward from the pivot point. So that the push rod is actually 90 degrees to that pivot point. And then the elevator goes straight up and the elevator is kicked forward a few degrees. And that makes the controls equal both directions. And I think that's what Joe was saying also.
Yeah, that's what stunt flyers think, but it's not really the case. It's a three-dimensional problem, and if you solve for that, you can linearize the controls either with a straight up and down flap horn or a tilted forward flap.
But you're moving one direction further than you're moving the other direction to get them equalized.
Nope.
That's not what you put on your data the other day. You're showing that one direction you were going 0.8 something, and the other one you're going, 10 or whatever the dimension was, and that would do it. That would make the difference. Except now you've lost your linearity in your lines into your belt crank, the belt crank throw, all of that.
Nope. No,
you and I will have to
work it out for yourself. Just
okay.
Howard, do you make yours straight up and down on the flap and elevator?
I don't remember. I can go look.
It depends which way the bell crank's in there for neutral too, y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it does.
Like
It depends.
neutral, then you don't have linear movement. It's gotta be into the right same degrees, does the same flat movement. And it might be in there just a kiss like that to get it going toward the lead outs to get all that to happen.
When I first laid out the first one I did, when I finally figured out what these old guys knew, what I did, I had worked for a company where I designed running gear for four-wheel trailers, and they were steering like a car steering. And so I got out the books and they showed me how to design the steering gear where you would get your differential in your turn. Your inside wheel would turn further than your outside. You get the same amount of turn on both directions with the same amount of input and all that stuff. And that was all done way back when they first started building four-wheel cars like the Model A and that they had discovered that they had to make this change in the steering geometry, and that's what it was all about. And they did that all on 2D graphics, and it works. It worked for a century before we got the 3D graphics going.
Well,
Hey, Howard,
yeah.
look at the little twin and look at the horn on that one.
Okay.
Good idea. Let me welcome Al Fierro. Thanks for coming in, Al. And also Brent Williams. Thank you for coming in, Brent. I appreciate it.
I think that little twin, the horn is kicked forward on the flat and then straight up and down for the elevator.
The hockey sticks.
Gotta go around the other side. No.
Gordon, you talking about the hockey stick one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Let's see what.
John's the one that got me started on that, and it works.
Let me make it big now that we got the.
There you go.
All right, so.
Isn't there?
See,
It's there.
That's a hockey stick.
Yep.
You can barely see the hockey stick though. There we go. That's.
Yep. That's
okay.
it.
I can see it. So, Stuart, so the top of this flat horn has a hockey stick shape toward the bell crank. See that, Stuart?
Yeah, but that's an old wives' tale. That's you can do it that way. You can linearize it that way. You can linearize it with the control horn straight up and down. But you won't know what you got unless you do it in 3 dimensions. Do a 3-dimensional analysis.
Well, I'll tell you, if anything that works better than the old way, it's got to be good. I first discovered it when I got looking at some old plans from back in the 50s, and a couple of them had these weird tilts to the flap horn. And I looked at it, and all of a sudden I recognized that they were putting in differentials, and it was their big secret. Everybody had secrets back in the 50s.
I had to mute you, Brent. You was making a lot of extra noise. So when you want to talk, you got to unmute your mic.
But Howard, you're right. You can do it your way. You know,
you can do it either way.
Yep.
If you fiddle with some other stuff. One thing that has a big effect on it is the angle of the output hole in the bell crank.
That would have it.
Yeah, you gotta have that straight.
But you don't know what you got unless you do the 3-dimensional analysis. You can luck out.
Well, you can do a graphic analysis.
Not unless you got a 3-dimensional graph.
Well, the bell crank is moving in 2 dimensions, The flap horn is moving in 2 dimensions.
And they're in two different dimensions, aren't they?
No, one's 90 degrees to the other,
Yeah, that's what
but
he's
they're
saying. They're
still in
different-
2 dimensions.
different. two
And you
different-
can graph it out. I've graphed it out, so I know exactly how much throw I'm getting from my horn at my like 45 degrees each direction on the bell crank. I know my flap or my bell crank horn length, and I know exactly how much movement I'm getting forward at.
But
And I can.
how much it is relative to the bell crank doesn't matter.
Well, it does because that relates to how much flap throw you get.
Not
In this,
What
Hang on
Matt-
one second, you guys. Hang on one second, because I don't want to get Stuart get lost in what we're talking about now. Stuart, do you have some sense of what we're talking about as far as the hunting? Is that clear, or is there any ambiguity still?
Hunting is somewhat to do with friction, right? You're not really talking about, I think what the hunting was, I didn't understand, but from what I heard is it has to do with friction. When I was talking about, and I didn't know, I think they're two different things, is basically if the pin's here and the hole for in your horn is here, if it's not front or back, right? What happened was the plane I had, it was back here. And I didn't know because until after I crashed it, that it should have been up here. And since I moved it, now the plane flies better.
yeah, it will.
We can't argue with that. If it flies better, it flies better. It might be that there might have been some friction, and when you repaired it, you might have alleviated the friction. And
Or-
One of the things they call friction sometimes is stiction. And there's like stick and stiction.
Yeah.
And Howard's right in what he's saying. And I have to say that I believe I am right also in the way I'm doing it. So he and I have had these little discussions once in a while, and we agree to disagree.
Well,
So you two have
I sent you the analysis and you won't look at it. You never looked at that program. I sent
I never got it.
you. I sent it to you 3 times.
It never showed up here. I don't know
Okay.
where it went.
We could try again. Put your email address in with your postal address.
I'll do that.
Okay.
very good.
But yeah, you were talking about the relationship of the bell crank and the flap and elevator. It doesn't matter. What matters is the relationship between the lead out displacement and the control surface displacement. Bell crank can do anything.
Well, isn't that the same thing as saying the amount of rotation in the bell crank? It's the lead out displacement.
It's the lead out displacement to the control surface displacement is what you want to linearize, assuming
Well, yeah,
you're
but that's what I'm talking about. I'm just using a different set of words for it. Bell crank rotation gives me my lead out displacement. We need to sit down at breakfast someday and talk about this.
You got to get a pencil and paper and start drawing it out and get a
pencil and paper won't work. It's the 3-dimensional problem.
But then get something besides this and this. If your bell crank starts out like that, you move them an inch, it ain't never going to be right.
Exactly.
That's
true.
In the right place. And Howard's right. It's important to have the bell crank angled to the right place to get it all going right.
Well, that's one way to get it going, right?
Absolutely true.
And what I've done is I've made my push rod from the flap and the bell crank. I have left and right hand threads so I can adjust it, so I can fix the asymmetry in my control input, because I'm not as smart as some of you guys. So I just fix it with being able to turn my push rod left hand and right hand in different both directions to get it so it's neutralized. I ended up with it being maybe linear, but it might not have started off that way, but I adjusted it out so it got the same input. And I basically was changing the bell crank angle when I'm adjusting the length of the push rod.
I found a set of plans that George Aldrich had drawn, and he had his flap horns canted it so it met the 90 degrees. And
Unless you mount the bell crank at that same angle, it don't mean squat.
say what?
The angle that the push rod makes from the bell crank to the flap horn doesn't mean squat.
Well,
Yeah, it does.
I found for me it does.
Just get a ring match with the Brodac 25 and fly the heck out of it.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Works for Joe.
Yeah, just fix it. Whatever. And I just fixed the problems.
There you
And
go.
I found a fix through the
You can ultimately fix it by just going out and practicing more. All right.
Oh yeah, you can
Just go fly some more.
Joe's already proved
You can
that.
get used to any situation. My first
You'd be amazed
Cobra-
what the human body is capable of adjusting
Absolutely.
to.
My
I
first
have a response from Mark Lumen. He says the angle of the dangle is relative to the ratio of the push and pull force.
And
Slow that down.
I think yes, I think he's onto something. He said it's relative to the ratio of the push and pull force.
Oh, I thought it was the heat of the meat and the mass of the asshole.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
Okay, guys.
Got
I
me
have
through
a-
calculus, brother.
I have some comments in the chat box. Let me see here. Brent Williams, he I guess he saw the rear exhaust headers that were really cool. I thought those were really cool too. When I saw those, Howard, where'd Howard go? Is he still here?
He's there.
Oh,
Okay.
here. I think he's putting a bag over his head.
And then I'll be right with you, Brent. I see you showing a what are you showing, Brent?
It's
hockey
a
stick.
compensated flap horn.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
That's the one I use.
That's one you use. Okay.
Yep.
So that's that.
All right. And then Alfiero has raised his hand. Let me see.
Is Kukulak here?
I haven't seen him yet.
Okay.
Go ahead, Al.
Okay, I just wanted to, again, this is sort of directed at Dennis too. So I got the Power Pro.
Power Pro.
Right?
That's
And
it.
It's the 80-pound test. It's 16,000 equivalent diameter. Okay. So there it is. Now, I didn't do the double surgeon knot. I just did a regular palmar knot on each end. Okay.
Can you use that again?
Line broke in the
I'm
middle.
just kidding.
You broke that on about a 5-pound pole, looked like.
Yep. And
Wow.
this isn't the first time I did it. I did it like 20 times. I mean, I did it like a month, when you guys were talking about it, I threw them away. I had a whole bunch. I threw them away. I had a bunch in my pocket.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So, I bought this on Amazon, but I'm just saying.
And it says Spectra too.
Yep. And it broke in the middle. You could see my, where's the camera? There it is. There's one. There's the other one. There it is.
Wow.
Wow, you're making me
Think I
nervous,
send that stuff
Alfiero.
back.
I'm gonna try.
Oh, make you nervous. I was going to use this stuff.
Yeah, I'm nervous, Dennis.
I've
I'm
heard there's
really
a lot
nervous.
of counterfeit on the market.
How hard do you pull?
I'm gonna, I've been flying with the combat planes and it's never failed me. And then it's done the 100-pound test.
Mhm.
I've been using this on combat and on my Vector 40, and it's been on there, been using the same set of lines for 2 years. So far, no problem, but I'll try the same test, you make me small again. I'll make a loop and do the same test with this.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Al, the one thing, I don't know if you may have heard this a week or two ago, Jim Hoffman was on. He had some 50-pound line that he couldn't get to pull past 20 pounds and it was breaking right in the middle. And he contacted Power Pro about the Max Quattro, that is, and he sent it back and they said that they would be sending him a new roll in sometime in September.
right.
All right. That was 50. I haven't seen it happen on 80 before, but and then Mark Lumen, I think, also had a similar situation. I think he did it with 50 pound also.
Yeah.
I'm flying on 80 pound right now. That works really well for me. And I pull tested, and of course, stretch tested them at 40 pounds.
Okay.
And, on the scale. And so I feel pretty comfortable and confident of what I have and everything like that. But what you're showing there is just, that's damn scary. So.
Al?
I mean, and I'm not that strong.
What do you mean? You're a combat flyer. You're a monster. So.
Is that different though, on the box where it says thin? Like, what's it say in the box there?
It's 25% thinner.
It says thinner.
That may be the
It says
difference.
20 It's a, oh,
No, that's what I'm
It's
using
just a new
too.
formulation.
25% thinner.
Okay.
That's the
is that
Max Quattro.
Than a regular one? Because
No, the regular, the 100-pound test is the same thing. It's the Max Quattro.
Mhm.
Did you buy it from the same source?
Yeah, it's Power Pro is the name of the line, and the Power Pro Max Quattro is supposed to be their super good stuff.
oh, it isn't.
Al, did you buy that from the same vendor?
Amazon. I don't know.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. There's in that market, there's tons of fake crap out there.
No,
So
I
that's
know. I mean, I just what the heck? Just bought something. What the heck? I think I bought a Nest Cam, and I called up Nest Cam, for technical support, and they said to me, "Don't buy it on Amazon."
Yeah, that's one of the problems in our hobby in general is we're cheapskates on a lot of things, and we'll go to Amazon or third-party vendors instead of directly to the manufacturer and buy directly from the manufacturer authorized vendors. And
so this is the 100-pound
you
test.
pay your money and you take your chances. That's a tough thing.
Go ahead, Al.
100-pound test.
In the middle? You broke in the middle?
Yep.
Oh,
And
that's scary.
that's just with the Palmer knot.
That's the thick stuff though.
The knot doesn't break though.
This is the 100-pound test. It was a little bit stronger than the other one, but I don't know, Dennis. You try it. Yeah, I know you're. I mean, I'm just using 2 screwdrivers and.
How much?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I now I fly with this. The same stuff. I'm flying it on my Vector. The same line. And for 2 years, and I fly it in speed limit combat. The same line. I had, this line is, I bought it like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
From the
I
same
don't know. I
vendor.
don't think I could. I'm going to try it with the steel lines to see if I could do it the same thing, but I don't think I could break the steel lines.
Oh God.
Damn.
I bet you
Well,
can.
you might be surprised, but yeah, I'm.
And you can break steel lines.
You can.
Absolutely.
And then,
Strong enough.
I've done it.
Howard, did you raise your hand or did I not lower it before?
Yeah. Did you want to talk about headers? Somebody made headers.
Yeah, I think Brent Williams and I are both impressed with those. I've been curious. I
cool to
know
see
Randy
those.
Smith used to have them available, and I have never seen anybody who had any. And I've been intrigued to try to convert a side exhaust to rear exhaust. So yeah, they intrigue me.
Dennis, so somebody, one of my friends told me about, what's the name of that line? It starts with an F.
The fins.
Fins, yes. And then they have something new called G40.
Yeah, 40G. Fins Fishing is finsfishing.com. Fins is the manufacturer. That's and then they have a half a dozen different product lines under that. They make wind tamers, their biggest, most famous one. They make one called 40G that is, in effect, it's a single strand line, but it has an 8-strand sheathing on it on the outside. And
Right.
that makes it extremely smooth. I think they take advantage of the single strand. Their claim to fame with the 40G product, it is physically the smallest line out there.
Right.
For example, their 85-pound line is, I think, 14 thousandths. Their 45-pound line is 009. All right.
Wow.
It's incredibly
Halfway size.
thin and very, very, very smooth.
So the guys were trying that and they said it was fantastic.
I've only tried, I got one set of those, got some line from Dennis Toth actually down south. He sent me a set. I've only used them on the old timer so far, and you get the darndest sensation that you don't even have any lines on the airplane. I don't know how else to describe it. There's no drag or whipping or anything like that at all.
As they
And
said,
the
they put
control
the
input was great, but that was on a 40-ounce airplane, but
And they said they even put Bob Hunt on a set of those lines on his plane, and they said he really liked it.
okay. So I had heard that Bob was finally gonna get around to trying them, but I didn't know exactly what he tried or anything like
He
that.
tried
So
that, 40G.
they put him on the 40G, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but I just had to show you that, my little backyard
that.
testing,
Mhm.
it's a real eye opener.
It really is. It really is. I mean, I pull, even when I'm tying the knots, I usually put a pretty good pull, just tying it. I'm not going to pretend I'm strong or anything like that, but I pull on it really hard, even trying to do that. So
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm not pulling it any, almost as hard as you were there, but
But I'm just
I
showing you.
have been the only ends I failed. The first sets I was making, I had some bad technique, and I tried doing Palomar knots with traditional eyelets in them, and that didn't.
Right.
I had nothing. I completely blew that,
Well-
and so I've settled. I finally got back to the surgeon's knots, and then just basically,
Right.
behaving myself, if you will, and it's been working well. And
But
then
I was
after
just
I
wondering-
tie them, I've been pulling them at 50% load. The only difference I've been doing is I've been ramping the load up a little bit. I
Mhm.
pull it to like 20, hold it for a few seconds and pull it up to the 50% load and hold it for, I count to 100 at the 50% load. And so my 80-pound lines were pulled 40 pounds per line, which means they should be good for an 80-pound pull test, which is 100% more than I'm pulling. So
I mean, I pull tested my Vector at this, when I flew it at the stunt contest too, and, no problems. But there,
How big
and
how big
then
a 40G are you flying?
what I just did there was just a single Palmer knot,
mhm.
Wow.
one loop. And every time the knot survives, but the line is breaking in the middle.
Yeah.
Back to
It's breaking right smack in the middle. There's some guys who posted some test online, and they're doing the things, wrapping around big spools and everything like that, pulling up. But one of the things I noticed when they did their pull is that they were pulling it to like holding it around half their anticipated load. And they'd hold it there for a few seconds before they'd go. And they were breaking, I think, 50-pound max quattro. They broke at like 67. They pulled 80-pound at like 98 pounds or something like that. I mean, it was clearly over. And then on the Fins 40G, they actually, if you look at their table, the 45-pound line, also they show the actual brake strength. It's like almost 50% higher. All right. And that's the only product that they make where I've seen them list that. But they list it with that, I think, because people are, nervous that, gee, how, it's so thin, how can it work? But they basically show that the line is rated well below what their tests show the line is capable of. So,
Dennis, I need to ask you a question again about last week. You told me, it was coming in on outsides.
yeah.
Or which way you told me to tweak the flap?
Treat it like the wing is hanging down upright.
Like
So
you had
you
a fork on the wing.
Yeah,
Okay.
push the outboard wing up. And then I think it was Phil brought up the idea, just for quick and dirty sake, put a little piece of trailing edge stock under the bottom of the wing.
Okay.
You know, a 1/4 inch thick or something, 3 inches long or something like that. Just stick it on. You can do that real quick back to back and and see if it makes any improvement.
Okay. I didn't write that down. I'm kind of that age where you forget stuff.
Good.
Join the crowd.
Yeah, who's not here?
I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
Yeah,
Exactly.
sounds familiar.
I have a question for Joe. Last week, I think you was talking about when you go to a contest, you have 2 lines and 2 handles for a plane. You have a short and a long.
Typically
Thank-
speaking, yes.
And what's the differential? The 2 feet difference between the
2
short and the
feet,
long? Okay.
The 2 feet, yep. Like at the Nats, I flew Big Blue on 61-foot lines. Short lines,
All right.
Really?
62 and a half on my long line. I like short lines. I want to feel that rascal out there.
All righty. Now, when you fly on shorter lines, do you adjust the motor or you keep the same motor running when it's windy?
Yeah,
like that?
Richen. Usually I go more nitro and Richen,
Okay.
make grunt power, but not speed.
All right. I was just curious. Thank you very much.
I was just tickled to see that Joe, there's one thing that Joe does that he doesn't do markedly better than I do. He is not an artist.
I am not an artist. No.
I noticed there at the Nats, Joe, you was walking towards the airplane to get rid of your line tension.
Yes, sir. Unload that booger. Uh-huh.
Yep, that
Yep.
wind was really blowing.
It was blowing hard.
Yep.
They don't pull as hard, and I think they turn faster. They can turn sharper if they're not speeding up on you to boot, you know.
Yeah.
Billy's the best at that. Bobby's good at that too.
Yeah,
Billy,
Ford used to go out and practice in the wind.
yes.
Yep, he did.
Yep.
My problem, I stayed home.
Me too.
Oh my goodness. Gordy, when your airplane's coming at you, is it turning in or is the wing rocking? Is the wing rock down?
Coming in at you on down the elevator.
Is it twisting in at you?
No,
It's rocking.
it's just
Yep.
bringing that wing up so it
Yep.
loses line tension.
That's right. Yep.
The insides, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. They're rolling away from you. That's right.
Yep.
You got a flap warp, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
What was
Well,
the problem? The outside squares?
anytime you give down elevator, outside loops, outside squares, it comes in at you. Yep.
Airplane's probably rocking this way where it's turning in.
So when you're at the top of the square and you give it down, the plane comes in at you?
Yep.
Curls down.
That's usually- And is the outboard wing up when you're flying it level a little bit?
It's dead level and level flight. And
Both
it-
ways?
Because it sounds like the outboard wing might be up a little bit.
Nope. It's
If you're up there, if it wants to yaw up, and if you're hit it down and it flies in at you,
Yeah, it tracks dead level, upright and inverted, and the wing is straight both directions.
Then I would suspect, Gordy, that your elevators, the inside elevator's probably down. When you give it down, it drives the airplane up and at you. You know what I'm saying? The
Yep.
elevator,
Yeah,
the one's down a kiss. When you give it down, it has more power and it'll raise that tail up and out.
is it got flaps?
well, I think Dennis has got the right idea of tweaking
right.
that flap.
Yeah.
You know, it may look straight, but aerodynamically, it may not be.
Mm-hmm.
Don't a
And
lot of guys.
all
use
I
it.
mentioned is that I'd had an airplane before that was like that. It had no evidence whatsoever that the wings weren't level, but it would go light on might have been on insides. Now that I think of it, and it behaved like it would behave if the wing wasn't level. All right. And
Isn't
I
that
just
why they use
attributed it being so close. It was so close to the edge. You know, I ended up tweaking the flap like about that much. Yeah, yeah. And it was probably less than a 30-second, and it was enough to make a difference. So I suggested, just as a quick diagnostic, if you put just a piece of trailing edge stock on the bottom of the wing, say a 1/4 inch tall by about 3 or 4 inches long, just tape it on the bottom of the wing, and that's going to
Lift the wing.
that should ring the bell, shall we say? That should give you an idea whether it's behaving that way or not. If it doesn't, then it's on the plan B. Well, plan B, I was going to suggest you put left-hand rotation props on it, but I don't think his LA-15s would handle that. So
No, I don't think so.
no. So
Don't they use smaller outboard flaps than inboard?
Are you talking to me?
Well, to Dennis, anybody, on a lot of planes?
Oh, I do that on my full-size standards with build-up bodies, but on my profiles, I make them the same.
Okay.
what's happening one way and not the other? That almost has to be some kind of a warp condition.
Yeah, it's
Has
a
to
twin.
be.
It's
Yeah.
a twin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a twin, or they're both turning the same direction.
Tethered flight's hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, but Gordy, try that this week and let us know Friday. I'm anxious to find out what that is, but I'm gonna have to get out of here. I told him I'd get up in the morning to meet somebody, and 6 o'clock's gonna come early. Y'all have a great weekend. Great
Thank
week.
you, Phil.
See you
Take
Monday.
care, Phil.
Have a good
I'll see
night.
you.
You too.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Fantastic. We'll be ending the show in like 12 minutes live stream anyway, so
No
we're
worries.
getting close to the end of the show.
Did you want to see the headers?
Yes.
I saw them earlier, but right now your camera's pointing at. Oh, there we
Oh.
go. Now we see him.
Wow.
Philip was using these Magnum 36s that have side exhausts with tuned pipes, and there's some headers for them.
He did good.
Yeah.
Those are very nice.
Those are beautiful.
did you get any stunt planes, Phil?
Yes, I did.
Did you have his first Diva?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have his very first Diva?
No, I have the Zealot that won the concourse and got 20 points.
Wow.
Hang it up.
First Diva with the Magnum, and it was an awesome airplane. Very, very good flying airplane.
Is it- What plane are those for, Howard?
Well, his Diva series.
So is that one of those? I was just watching what those guys were flying at the World Champs, where they mount the side exhaust engine on a full fuselage, but it's not at 90. It's down at a 45.
These were mounted at 90 degrees. The cylinder head down like a traditional stunt plane.
I thought that was pretty clever. Why they're trying to do that.
Oh, they put a lot of development into the unpiped.
Yeah, I guess they do that to try to get the pipe to run in the center of the fuselage.
They don't
Or
use
the
pipes.
engine runs better that way.
Typically, they don't use pipes. The Phillips pipes here, they're to run the pipe in the center of the fuselage.
Right.
But from a side exhaust engine that's mounted in a traditional manner.
Okay.
So He's
you're
got
going
a,
back- You're going back to Glow?
no, I have some of the Granderson estate here.
Oh,
He had, I haven't rounded them all up, but there must be a couple dozen Magnum 35s and
mhm.
40s. He went to a whole lot of effort to make his flying look effortless.
Okay. That's some really nice work. Did he
Yeah.
make those or did he have Max do that?
I don't know.
They look pretty.
Kenny, all these combat flyers flying stunt now.
Yeah.
And they're winning.
Oh, yeah. One thing, we're not afraid of the ground.
Not
Um,
getting
We're not with a 10-hour airplane. With a 500-hour airplane, it's a little scarier.
It only hurts if you hit it. Oh my goodness.
Tommy Fluker's flying stunt.
He is.
He could be maybe the first person to fly in 3 events at the have flown in 3 events at the World Champs. 3 control line events.
He was flying Bill Rutherford's electric Igor airplane last time I saw him.
Oh,
Rutherford had a Max B, I think they call it, Howard. Max
Yeah.
B, is that? Yeah.
That's
He
a
was
cool
flying
looking
Bill
plane.
Rutherford B.
cool.
Hope he comes to Tulsa in 2 weeks.
Also in 2 weeks.
Yes.
You guys still got the camera set up so I can watch from home?
We've had trouble with that. I think one of them's working's all.
Hmm.
Bob passed away and none of us smart enough to make that work.
Uh,
Um,
well, you'll get another genius eventually.
There's 6 of us left. It's going to happen pretty quick.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, Brent, are you still on? Brent?
I don't see him.
Yeah, Brent must have ducked out of here.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be right back.
All righty, John.
Tulsa in 2 weeks. That's kind of tempting.
You come on, boy. Oh, Howard's flown in Tulsa.
Yeah, Mary Lou will be out of town. I could probably get away with it. But
Take you 2 days to get here.
yeah,
I'll pick you up at the airport. Loan you a car.
I'll drive. It's free.
Huh?
You'll
I'll
drive.
drive. Yeah.
He doesn't spend any gas. He's just charging batteries.
I'd love to see Howard here. You give Matt Colin a run for his money. Howard, you messed up giving that boy that bell crank program.
Oh, he found a flaw in it.
I heard that.
I always used a 1-inch elevator control horn. Never used anything else. And the program I'd forgotten on the elevator to multiply by the control horn length. So it was multiplying by 1. And he tried a different length control horn and it didn't do anything. And
He's a pretty bright boy. His airplanes, he's got good stuff.
yeah.
He's took his lessons well. The bell crank opinion's magical on an airplane. It's got
Hey.
Oh, Brent's back.
Hey, Brent, welcome back.
Yeah.
And you got your son there. All right.
Yep. Got little dude with me.
Yeah, it looks like quarter scale.
Yeah.
pretty close.
Very good. Yes.
Brent, you know what messes them little boogers up?
Propellers on the finger.
Grandpas and grandmas, and I'm good at it, boy.
Oh, yeah.
I
You
do them on
told-
the sugar and stuff.
Joe, I used to live in Tulsa, so
You did?
yep. I lived just off Riverside Drive on Elwood in downtown.
Is that right?
Yes,
I did
sir.
not live in Tulsa.
Yeah, I wasn't flying. I was a Mormon missionary at the time, and
Well, do you know Joe Brown? You know
uh-uh.
the no? Okay.
But I love Tulsa.
I'm Danny.
You're Danny. All right, Danny. Thanks for coming in.
Have you eaten at Bill's Jumbo Burger lately, Joe?
No, it's been 2 years, but I have eaten there.
Eating a
Did
Big
you
Mama?
Pete's Fine Barbecue over on North Lansing.
What about Jamil's? You eat the steak at Jamil's?
Yes, I know them. Yeah.
That's the first place I ever had tabbouleh. And I didn't know if I liked it or hated it. I'm like, this is the weirdest stuff I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
I'm Danny.
Hey,
Yeah.
Danny.
So good,
I'm
man.
Danny.
We saw a place called Oklahoma Joe's there in Tulsa.
I'm
Yeah.
Danny.
They
Never
sell
been.
a lot of, you can get a lot of like barbecue rubs and stuff like
Yeah.
that from Oklahoma Joe's. Yeah.
So does Danny fly? Has he had a handle yet?
I think I brought him out to the circle with me. I took my other kids out flying half A the other night. I was a glutton for punishment. Took a half A that didn't have the little spring starter on the front. I sat there most of the evening trying to flip start a Black Widow that didn't want to start. So
Oh,
So how old is Danny?
Starting reverse.
yeah, it went reverse more than
Yeah,
normal.
right.
Danny will be 4 in November.
All right, Danny. 4 years old. You're right there on the cusp of being able to fly a plane. I mean, 4, 5.
I'm 3.
You're 3?
Uh-huh.
All right.
I'm 12.
Yeah.
Here about 2 months ago, I was over at the house and he walked up to me and looked at me. He says, I love you.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah,
Love it.
nice.
Darn
Oh,
right.
that is how touching that
Everybody
is.
loves Santa Claus.
Who's that?
These are my control line friends.
Yeah, you know me.
That's Gordon.
All right. Well, we are just about at the end of the live stream, so I want to thank everybody for coming in. Had a good show and good conversation, and the chat box came alive. It's been a while for the chat box. It's been really slow, so I'm happy to see the chat box alive and well. I'm not going to be doing any flying this weekend, but hopefully people who have good weather. Ordinarily, I would have the best weather, I think.
Wait, bye.
But
Hey,
to do some flying and come back and share with us Monday what you did in your shop or what you did at the flying field. Until then, tight lines and fair winds. We're going to stay here and do the after party, but the live stream's going to end. So I'm going to bid everybody good night.